but their performances had to be so right on to where those people ended up at that point for it to work, that that was equally scary in a different way, and that's a testament to having great actors with you.
It's so great to be chatting with you. I feel like I've hit the interview trifecta. Spoke with Rennie, spoke with Madelaine. Now I'm speaking with you. I'm so happy about it, and I'm so excited to ask you all of these questions about the film because I loved it, and I love this whole
Oh,
trilogy.
thank you. Thank you. Can I just ask one question? What are all those pictures on your wall?
They are all different movie posters and TV shows, so all different stuff. And I actually have the original or the chapter one Strangers poster up there
I see
too,
it.
up
I
there.
see it. I see it. Because the way you cut them, they look like Polaroids.
Yes, that's exactly what they are. Yes. That was a COVID project that I started in here, and now I need to update it because it's been a little while since I've updated
There you
those.
go. Yeah, well, you got to go out again.
Yeah.
So, I'm so happy to hear you loved it. I mean, shoot, what would you like to know?
Well, there's so many epic sequences throughout this whole trilogy with kills and escapes, and I can't imagine how many moving factors that included, whether you were outdoors and filming in those elements, practical effects, all of those things. So, was there a scene that you remember going into shooting that maybe you were nervous for or felt it was ambitious, but then after seeing the footage for the first time, you were really excited and proud of how it turned out and for people to see it?
Well, I mean, I would say that the boar was ambitious because really it was being shot with nothing there. We did it in, I'd say, a fraction of the time that you would normally take to shoot something like that, where there's a 3D CG creature involved like that. You'd usually do it in a different environment than out in the wild open, which is where we did it, where you just have no controls over the environment at all. And then we had a guy in a black suit, sort of like, jumping on Mads and like, helping her, so that she could react to something actually there. So I think that one, it was sort of like we all walked in and said, we know we don't have enough time to do this. I think in the end, and the credit goes to the CG artists and everything like that. I mean, if we actually took that apart for you guys in sort of a making of video, you would be shocked to see like what the original footage was. The environment is recreated, her legs are recreated, the boar is created, like everything. And they did such a seamless, great job. I know there were a bunch of people that said, well, it's a CG heavy sequence. But I mean, have you ever watched a Marvel movie? It's all CG. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, like there's four people in front of a green screen for this many shots, and then everything else isn't real. But that one was very ambitious. It was extremely ambitious just because like we knew it was almost an impossible mountain to climb before we even shot it.
That is definitely one of the scenes I'd probably first that come to mind. I'd think I'd love to just see them making that and what went into that scene because I remember watching that when it came out last year. I thought that is just such a fun scene.
But I'll give you the inverse to that for 2 seconds. The very end scene when they're talking.
Mm, mm.
Okay. So now it's something that doesn't have any of that at all to it. None of that fancy dance, no actiony aspect to it or anything like that. But their performances had to be so right on to where those people ended up at that point for it to work, that that was equally scary in a different way. And that's a testament to having great actors with you.
Absolutely. When I spoke to Rennie, I was asking him about dynamic between those two characters and what those conversations looked like going into filming because I loved watching those two on screen. And like you said, the build up to where those characters end up is just so well done. So props to everyone for making that as great as it turned out to be.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, their dynamic was very interesting. I was there for their first meeting in person because Mads was sitting, we were in Slovakia, and she was sitting in my office and we were going over the script, and Gabriel had just arrived. And so he came in to say hi. And, we'd all met on Zoom, but not in person. So he comes in, says hi, and he sits down in the chair, and he is kind of scarecrowy in real life, right? Like he's a strong character. Okay, let me put it that way. Super intelligent, super nice guy. So he sits down in this chair across from us, right? Just sort of like lounging back, right? And he goes, I have one thought about the script. And so we're like, okay, what is it? Right. And he looks at Mads and he goes, at that point, she was going to beat him in a fight for the ending. So it was a totally different ending.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, you'd never beat me. And so and he started that dynamic just like from moment number one. I don't know if it was on purpose or whatever it was, but it really worked for like the interactions in the movie.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's such a good story.
And I mean, Gabe is like very fit. Like, yeah, yeah. I think you could like shoot a bullet and it wouldn't go through.
Just
Yeah.
like Captain America, Iron Man
Yeah,
himself.
like he's armor. He's basically armor. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if there's an actual answer to this, but at the beginning of this third film, we see the number 24 on the motel room door in the flashback. And we see it a few other times in the film. So was there a significance to choosing number 24, or was that just a random number kind of in a way?
So so it's interesting because there was a significance when we chose it, right? And then, when we counted afterwards, we realized we miscounted. So, initially when we chose it, the idea was that up to the point of when the lady walked into the room, at the beginning of the movie, the traveler, when she walked in, that she was picking, trying to count what victim number this was that they did. Right. And then we changed our minds as we were shooting in that motel and said, that's not so important. We'd rather them, going to the same room. So it's number 24. So originally it was, that's victim number 24.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So, because the whole point is that they've done this an awful lot and for an awful long time. And so, and then we thought it was better, like, actually, they probably have done more than 24, because just counting the time and the years and from when they were children and all that stuff, it's probably more than 24. So, anyway, that's where we landed.
No, that's really interesting though. I love that hearing that. That's a cool story.
And that's, by the way, that's really good detail. Well done.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I always keep lots of notes through watching movies, and so I always pick out these random things. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that at the beginning.
That looks like the notebook that Mads was holding when Rennie and I did the first Zoom with her.
Oh,
And she was shooting a different movie and she had 21 pages of notes
oh,
about the script. And she popped up the notebook like that and showed it to us and said, I have all these notes. Like, where do we start? Like she was interviewing us.
that's hilarious. She was right into the role right from the beginning.
Absolutely. And that's just her nature. She's so thorough. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, I think it's just so unique, this whole trilogy and how you're telling this story, because really you're taking one story, of course, and splitting into these three films. And so I'd love to hear your perspective on having this new experience as an artist and as a producer, telling this story in a different way through filmmaking.
Well, double-sided coin. Okay. So on one side, it was super excited, and we thought we're going to bring something like super exciting for the fans to the theaters. And originally, as you probably know, it was supposed to be one film every 3 months,
Right.
right? And then for whatever reasons that don't have anything to do with us, that got derailed. And so it was one film, then it was like 16 months. And now finally, from the 16 months, we got back to just 4 months. So we sort of ended strong anyway, like the way we intended. So in that way, it was super exciting. As we did it, a couple of things came about. I think there's a whole segment of audience there that has a problem because it is one movie. And, we have done a super cut, by the way. So we've done a 3 hour and 50-minute cut that is, got things taken out of movie one and two, some things added into all the movies. But to watch it play straight through, Maya's journey is just even that much more gut-wrenching because you're watching it as a one-off, and it's only a little longer than watching a Marvel or an Avatar movie, so it's not that long,
Yeah.
because movies have gotten longer in the last sort of 10 years. They just
Mhm.
really have. But I think there's a disconnect that took place that I can definitely see from people who weren't as big fans of the trilogy, and because going from one to the other, they're just not on the journey with us. People who decided to go on the journey, like yourself, they get every detail, they're fully, and so they're having fun with it. And that was the idea of it. That's why we did it like that. And it does, thirdly, give you, you know, you have to get to that 90-minute running length for each individual film. So you do find yourself as filmmakers, adding some stuff in that you say to yourself, and that's why the supercut's kind of fun. I don't know if I would have put this in the movie if I didn't have to get to 90 minutes. Not that I feel like as a filmmakers, we all look and we sort of hit a point where we're like, this is the movie we love. This is exactly the way we want it to be. in chapter one and two, chapter three, that wasn't the case because there was so much to cover now, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that was great. But like chapter one and two, there's a good 30 odd minutes in there that when you watch the supercut aren't in there. And then there's some things that didn't make it into those cuts that we always wanted to be in those cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
interesting.
a double-edged sword, but I think overall, I just wish that, people, a lot of people don't even, they look at chapter two just like a sequel. They don't look at it like it's the middle of a movie.
Right.
And part of the biggest thing I think that's tough with it is chapter two got a lot of heat because it suddenly just said two can be continued and ended. And people were just getting into it. And so then they were pissed off. Like, I mean, literally is the way to say it. I mean, from what I can see. And I understand that, but like, this is what we were selling in the first place. And that one, unlike chapter one and three, just had to be cut off somewhere and then just picked right up again in the next chapter.
Right.
So unfortunately, a lot gets lost in translation there because if you're just a normal person watching the movie, you're just like, what? And they don't know maybe the history and it's three chapters and it's one movie. And maybe even if they do, they're so annoyed they don't care. There's your full answer.
Thank you. I remember when I was watching interviews from the first film and learning about how this was one long script in the beginning. I can't imagine that process, you, Rennie, and whoever else was involved, having to make those cuts and to try and decide what would make it into those three different movies. Because, like you said, whether it be too much or too little, trying to make it into a movie, that would be a hard decision. I can't imagine.
You know what? A lot evolved along the way too. So we actually have so much deleted footage. It's crazy. I mean, literally, like, studios are like, buy the DVD and, you'll get four deleted scenes. You know how it's
Yeah.
always the way it is. And you watch those four deleted scenes, you're like, meh. I mean, like, oh, that's okay. It's interesting, whatever. Literally, we have a whole movie of deleted scenes. Okay. Like, we have deleted strangers that never existed.
Wow.
Okay, we have stuff that's really compelling. So when we put out this supercut, we're going to put out the supercut like, we really want to. It's up to the studio as like a limited theatrical thing for like maybe a couple of weeks or something like that, right? Like just limited theaters for like fans to go and enjoy that event together and like see it as one because it is a cool experience as one. And it's made for the movie theater, so you got to watch it in the movie theaters. But then we thought when we get to the home entertainment, we would actually give everybody like an hour and a half of extras and explanations and stuff that they just have so much conversation about afterwards and try to figure out like how the hell was this even part of the same trilogy of films and whatever else. And so I think there's a lot of fun to come.
That's amazing. Well, that's like the perfect pitch. You've sold me. I'd be in the theater right now.
Right. If I had it, I'd give it to you. I have the super cut. We got to go put together all those extras. That's probably like a good week and a half of work.
That's
We got
very
to
cool.
take them out and, make them presentable and, like write an explanation so you sort of know where it would have fit. And people could literally do a jigsaw puzzle and would almost be like changing the film.
That's crazy. I'd be there for sure.
Thank,
Well, Courtney, I have to wrap up here, but thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. I really appreciate it, and congratulations on this whole trilogy.
thank you so much. Thank you for your support. And I love your wall.
Thank you so much.